Um, Thank you. Welcome back here. PM Show Weekend Edition, the lovely Nancy Manetti, the beautiful Nancy Manetti, the wonderful Larry Manetti, and the great Charles Floyd Johnson, producer extraordinaire. And this, of course, NCIS. This is what he's doing now, right, Larry?
Oh, yeah, number one show.
It is number one. Charles, welcome back.
Thank you.
Charles,
I feel like I'm listening to all my greatest hits today.
You are. You actually should put an album together of your hits.
we should get a jukebox to put them all on.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, listen, nobody knows this, but Charles is involved with George Lucas and is the executive producer of the Tuskegee Airmen, who are the infamous African-American fighter pilots from World War II. And I know a lot about them, but I want Charles to explain to Nancy and I and Mike and the world what's going on with them. Thank God this picture has been made.
Well, the interesting thing, thank you for mentioning it, the picture is called Red Tails. And it is actually coming out to a theater near you on January the 20th.
Oh, coming up soon, yeah.
2012, yeah. And I've been traveling around the country with the cast, starting to do publicity for the film. We're going to do a really huge campaign. But the Tuskegee Airmen were the original first black aviator pilots in World War II. And their story was interesting because they really could. They were, a lot of them fresh out of college, and they wanted to fly, and African Americans were not allowed to fly planes in World War II and for the military.
Wow.
And so there was a huge upswell in the country and fighting, and President Roosevelt and also Truman later integrated the armed services because these guys got in and they did well. They were bomber escorts.
Wow.
And they flew P-47s, P-51s, and they protected the bombers. And the great thing about them was that at one time it was said they never lost a bomber. But history has shown that probably they did, but it was said that they didn't. But they lost very few. And interestingly, when they started, they were in these segregated units, and they were flying bomber escorts for white pilots. And at first, the white pilots didn't want them, but they became so good that the white pilots started requesting the red tails, and they painted. The reason they're called red tails is they painted the back of the planes, the tails on the planes, with red, and that was the way they got identified. And they recently, guys, so in 2000, I think 7 or 8, the U.S. Congress gave them the Congressional Medal of Honor.
I remember the ceremony.
And actually, George Bush was George Bush was still in office, and that happened.
I remember that.
What front was it, Charles? The South Pacific or the Germany?
No, they were in Europe, in Germany.
Okay.
The interesting thing, everyone, is that they ended up going first to North Africa, because they were having a hard time figuring out where they were going to put them, remember? And then they took them over into Italy, and then they flew in the whole European theater. Wow. And they got in the war pretty late, around 43. They went over around 42, but they really didn't start flying much to 43, 44, 45. But it's an amazing story. And George Lucas, now listen to this, George Lucas heard about this story 23 years ago.
Whoa.
Wow.
And Larry and Nancy will appreciate this, Michael. I was working doing Magnum PI in '88, and the phone rang, and they said, Mr. Lucas wants to talk to Charles Johnson.
Oh, wow.
And I went, excuse me?
Yo, wow.
And it was George calling me in 1988, just as we were wrapping Magnum, to say he wanted me to come to the ranch and talk about a film.
Wow.
And he wouldn't tell me what the film was about at the time. He said, you have to come to the ranch. And we started working on it in '88, and we worked on it until '94, '95. But we could never get a script that Mr. Lucas really liked, that George liked. And so in '95, HBO decided to do the Tuskegee Airmen story for HBO.
Right.
And they shot and made that film. And then George went off and did 3 prequels of Star Wars. So you cut to 2007, the phone rings again, and it's George Lucas's office saying, I still want to make that film to you. And we got started. We shot it in Prague in 2009, in Croatia and England and Italy. And he's been tinkering with it ever since, but now he's happy with it, and it's coming out. It's got a great cast of young people.
Can't wait to see this.
Who is the cast?
Well, Terrence Howard and Cuba Gooding are the leads.
Gooding.
They played. They don't play the pilots. They played the officers who are over them.
Yeah.
And then there's a huge group of young men who you guys will all recognize, but their names are not well known to the public yet. But they're all playing the young pilots because they're all playing 20, 21, 22 years old. And there's it's a cast of about I'd say 20 young pilots.
Boy, that sounds fabulous.
Yeah,
Bryan Cranston's in it, and our friend Nancy and Larry, Gerald McGraney.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love
I
Gerald.
love Gerald.
Hey,
And it's shot in Prague
wait a
too, my
minute.
country there.
Yeah,
Czech
that's
Republic.
right.
Charles,
Yes, ma'am.
didn't you work with Gerald on Simon and Simon?
I did. I did the pilot of Simon with Gerald.
We have that theme song. Get that rack that one up on the jukebox.
This is a whole
Oh
album.
my gosh, I thought we were.
I'm beginning to feel older than I am.
I thought we were going to play Quantum Leap, but put the other one up there, whatever you got.
Oh my gosh! But that's the story. So I hope everybody goes and sees it in January. I've seen it a few times now, and it's a really good picture.
Now give us the name and the date again.
It's called Red Tails, and it premieres on theaters January 20th, 2012.
20th.
Can I
January
wear
20th.
my black sheep outfit
Yes,
when
you
I
can.
come to see it?
Yeah, it would be great. You'd
ahead,
fit
boy.
right in.
You know what, Charles?
Yes, ma'am.
I would dare him to wear it if he could fit in it.
My hat fits me.
That's going to be great, though. I can't wait for that one.
It is.
Fabulous.
I was in Denver over the weekend doing a little publicity thing with. It's called Wings Over the Rockies Aviation Museum, and the next day we went up to the Air Force Academy and showed the picture to 500 of the Air Force cadets.
Oh, how
And
fabulous!
that was on Sunday. It was really exciting.
That's a great part
they
of
had to be
history.
thrilled.
I am so thrilled because it's taken forever to do this picture, but it's such an incredible subject matter, and a few of them are still alive.
That's great,
Oh,
too,
wow.
You know?
And I'm sure Lucas is a total perfectionist.
Oh yeah, we've been working on it for 2 years. I mean, he's really been working on it. Oh, the one other thing I want to tell you is the dogfighting sequences in this movie are extraordinary.
Wow.
Some of it, of course, is visual effects and CGI, but I dare you to kind of figure out what it is.
Wow.
It's ILM and Lucas, and they've just done an amazing job.
They're the best.
So I think the young kids are going to want to see it too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, hang on here. Charles Floyd Johnson is with us, guesting on the PM show with Nancy Manetti and Larry Manetti. Going to take a break. More with Charles. Plus, we've determined that Richard Widmark series. I've got all the information for us.
good.
Okay.
Don't forget Red Tails. The movie opens up the 20th of January, right after the holidays. Check it out at a theater near you. We'll be talking about it here on CRN. Straight ahead, we continue.
Stick around, Charles.